Good morning to all. On behalf of Mohammad Sadat AJ Academy of Architecture, I welcome to Professor Mohammad Harish, Dean and Advisor, Mohammad Idris, Principal, Professor Sadish Kumar, HOD and Convener, Professor Abdul Samad, Design Chair, my dear faculties and students, welcome to all. Myself, Engineer Prakash, Assistant Professor, MSAJ Academy of Architecture. On the moderator of MSAJ Lecture Series 2021. We'll start the session with topic of priestess structure in architecture. And I introduce my professor of our chief guest, Engineer Anbarasan sir, Associate Professor who have Master degree in Planning from School of Architecture and Planning, Anna University, Chennai. Bachelor degree from Tyagaraja College of Engineering and more than 15 years of field construction of building in structural engineering, as well as teaching and practicing, and also urban planner and designer. Sir, really thankful to present and accept over here, attend our annual lecture series of 2021. Thank you very much, sir.
Morning all. So the topic is priestess structure in architecture. In any type of construction project, there is a concept called golden triangle where there is a three concepts. First one is time, and second one is cost, and third one is quality. So normally, due to the poor workmanship or due to improper time management, there might be changes with the quality. So time will be the proper management skill, and cost or budget will be completely based on quality. I mean, the quality will be determined based on the choice of material selection. So in this, the priestess type of structure will have these three concepts. I mean, it will be complete as on time, and cost-wise, it will be very optimum when compared with the normal RCC type of structure. Then quality. I mean, the lifespan of the structure will be much more higher when compared with the normal RCC type of structure. Let me first describe about the basic difference between the concrete, reinforced cement concrete, and priestess type of concrete. Okay, hopefully you all heard about the concept called concrete. So it's a composite material which will have fine aggregate, coarse aggregate, water. Then you will have a cement. Okay, so this is a combination. I mean, this is a composite material which will have cement, fine aggregate, and coarse aggregate. Along with that, if we want to enhance any certain characteristics, we will have an additional one more concept called one more material called admixture, through which we can enhance the certain characteristics. Say if you want to increase the setting time of the concrete, ultimately we can go ahead with mixing of the admixtures. And characteristics. So the concrete being used universally because of it has a wide characteristics. First one is its durability, and next is the modulus of elasticity, and the third one is change in volume. So we all know that hopefully you may heard about concrete is elastic in nature. So it will have a tendency to contract and expand. And next is workability. So the minimum setting time will start with half an hour to the maximum time period till to 24 hours. And the next is strength, and next is cohesiveness. So it has different types of characteristics due to which we've been using universally because of these wide characteristics. And the next is reinforced cement concrete. So along with the concrete, we are using a reinforcement. We are using a reinforcement in this. So in order to increase the tensile strength in a structure, we've been using a reinforcements. And there are different types of loads in a structure, wherein I just said about the tensile load. In a structure, we have different types of loads apart from normal live load and dead loads. apart from live load and dead load, we have a wind loads. So a structure should be stable in order to access or in order to take up the wind loads, or if there is any seismic impacts. So a structure should be designed based on the analyzing the seismic characteristics. Then if it is predominant to snow, even we have to take it into account of the snow load also. So there are different types of loads to be considered while we've been designing. And these are different types of unit weights of different types of material which we are using in a structure. So brick which has a unit weight of 18.8 kilonewton per meter cube, then plain PCC is 24, RCC is 24, timber is 5 to 8 kilonewton per meter cube. So while we've been designing a structure, we need to consider the primary load of each and every component we are about to use. Yes, moving to the primary concept, pre-stressing. So there is a basic concept behind using a steel and concrete in a structure. So in steel, if you are taking a steel is strong in tension and it's weak in compression. And in terms of concrete, it's strong in compression and weak in tension. So pre-stressing is ultimately this is related to the weakness of the concrete. Okay, so in order to enhance or in order to improve the weakness of concrete in terms of tension, we are adopting a concept called pre-stressing. So this is how pre-stressing start to evolve. So we are going to have a normal process along with enhancing or improving the tensile strength in a concrete. So this is a simple example. A concrete beam will begin to bend when heavily loaded. So if you have a and you are using a normal type of normal plain cement concrete, then ultimately these will tends to buckle. So if the vehicle moves at a midpoint, then ultimately this leads to a failure. And in order to avoid the failure, say if we are using a reinforcement in a frame or in a road, ultimately this will take up the load. And if you are using a concept of pre-stressing, ultimately this will maximize the tensile loads because already it will attain to the maximum load characteristics. So this will completely eliminates the weakness of the concrete. That's a primary concept. A need for pre-stressing. So if you take a beam, any beam structure, we will have a compression and we will have a tension. So compression frame will happen at the top and tension frame will happen at bottom. So that's the main case. We will have a bottom reinforcement, which will have in a single reinforcement. We will have a collar bars at the top and we will have a main reinforcement at the bottom. Since the tensile load will be occur at the bottom of the any type of sections, say it will be beam or slab or whatever may be. So that's a primary concept. And what is pre-stressed concrete? Okay, so in a normal beam, say if you are considering a normal beam, when load being applied, it tends to get buckle in a downward direction based on the imposed load. So say if the imposed load is say 50 kilonewton per meter square, it tends to get buckle in this way. If you are introducing a tensile bars at bottom where it will take up the tensile load at the bottom cases, when it get tensioned at the starting phase or after concreting, post concreting, it will tend to since the rod is already being tensiled, the deflection will happen at the upward direction. So occurrence of the load and neutralization of the load will happen simultaneously. So this is how it will get balanced on the upward force followed downward upliftments. So this is the primary concept behind pre-stressed concrete. And we have a micro cracks. There will be a porosity in a concrete due to the porosity, due to the aging of a concrete, ultimately this porosity will tend to connect and it will form a root cracks like this. So hopefully you all know that, like, you know, there are two types of cracks. One will be structural cracks, and second one will be unstructural cracks. So mostly the structural cracks will happen because of the porosity gaps in the concrete. So this pre-stressed type of techniques will completely avoid or will completely remove the cracks which will be formed in the concrete. So we all know that, like, you know, after concreting, we used to set the concrete for 28 days for reaching the maximum saturation time period. So during 28 days, the concrete will reach us to the maximum saturation. And if we've been carrying out a pre-stressed type of techniques, then ultimately we can completely retard the porosity gaps. So ultimately this will completely enhance the quality of the concrete. And this is the one which I said, the pre-stressing tendons being provided at the bottom. And due to this will get the tension being induced in the tendons or in a bar. Concept from where, like, you know, we've been adopting the pre-stressed type of techniques. So the concept of pre-stressing techniques will adopted during 1970s, where you can see a barrel like this. So barrel will be bounded by steel cables. So steel cable will have a maximum tensile force when compared with the woods. So wood will contract and expand. Hopefully you all know that, like, you know, due to alternation with the temperature, the wood will contract and expand. So this bounded steel will ultimately enhance the tensile strength, and it will make the barrel to be in a stable manner. So if you are using a composite material, the material which has a maximum characteristics will enhance the quality of the material ultimately. And this is the second example. It's the spokes of the wheel. So you can see the spokes, and you will have a outer rim. So when spokes get loosed, in the sense there will be when spokes get loosed, there will be a tightening setup like this, through which we can increase the tension. Maybe, like, you know, cycle service center, you can see there will be a wheel like arrangement. So they will cross check the rotation based upon the tightness of the steel frames in the rims. When we increase the tension in the bar, ultimately that will reach the maximum saturation. So through which there will be a proper circle. And in terms of concept, it will have three concepts. First is pre-stressing to transform the concrete into an elastic manner. So as I said, concrete is completely an elastic material. It tends to contract and expand. And second is pre-stressing for the combination of high strength steel. Maybe, like, you know, you may heard about, like, you know, HYSD bars, high steel dia bars can be used for the pre-stressing type of techniques along with the concrete. And third one is pre-stressing to achieve load balancing. So it will reach us to the maximum saturation at the early point itself. So this is three primary concepts of pre-stressing techniques and principles. Hopefully you all know that, like, you know, this is a cross section of the beam which has a pre-stressing forces. And as I told you, like, you know, this is sigma C and this is sigma T value. So this is a complete stress resultant based on the pre-stressing techniques, where we have a larger compression, large area of compression. And here, like, you know, we are convincing with, like, you know, the tension which been imposed at the bottom due to the pre-stressing concepts. Ultimately, sigma C value and sigma T value will get neutralized, or it will be balanced, through which at top and at bottom we will have smaller compression and you will have a smaller compression. So this is a complete stress resultant. So ultimately the stress, I mean, in terms of compression value and in terms of tension value, it gets neutralized based on the pre-stressing type of concepts. Stages. So there are different types. I mean, there are different types of stages in pre-stressing. First one is anchoring of a tendons against the end abutments, and second one is placing of a jack, and third is applying tension to the tendons, and fourth one is casting of concrete, and fifth one is cutting of the tendons. So this is the first stage, wherein after executing the form work, after finishing the form works, we've been introducing, say, if this is a bay where we are going to have a concrete. So at each and every specific spacings, we are introducing a cable at a periodical phases. So this is the first stage, okay, anchoring of tendons against the end abutments. And next is placing of, second one is placing of jack. Okay, so first stage is like, we are providing a pipeline and we are introducing a jacks. So at sides, at side of the column or side of the slab, we have a anchoring supports. I'll show you the picture of the anchoring supports, how this will get worked. So at side, we will have an anchoring support, and associated with the anchoring support, we have a peg setup to hold the bars. And placing up the jack is the second one. And the third is applying the tension in the tendons. So before executing or before introducing the concrete in a structure, we used to apply the tension in a tendons. So ultimately it reaches the maximum saturation point. And fourth one is after tension at both the ends, we are casting a concrete. We are applying a concrete. And the next is, say this is the one which I told you. So this is the anchoring support which has extra rods like this. So all these extra rods will be cutted. Okay, so that's the last stage. At the end of the presentation, I'll show you a video related to the stages of pre-stressing techniques, by which you will get much more idea about the pre-stressing concepts. Yeah. So this is a sketch which shows the stages of pre-stressing. First is the preparation of bed. First stage is preparation of bed. This is mostly this sketch which shows about the railway slippers actually. Have you all heard about the railway slippers? Most of the cases in olden days, during 1970s or 1980s, we have this is the one. This is the railway slipper actually. So in 1970s and 1980s, we have a timber structure we have a timber slippers. So when train goes on a timber type of slippers, you may heard a creaky sounds. Okay, you may heard a creaky sounds. It's mainly because of the contraction expansion due to alternation with the weather conditions. The wood will contract and expand. So due to which the width of the spacing of the rail will get maximized or it will get contracted. So due to which there will be a creaking sound. So in order to avoid that, these type of pre-stressed slippers being used. Okay, so these being completely made by the concept of pre-stressing. Yeah. So first is like preparation of the bed, and this is the end abutment or this is the anchor supports. And you will have a hydraulic jack will be provided at both the ends. We will have a hydraulic jack will be provided at both the ends, and it gets expanded at both the ends. Okay, when it gets expanded at both the ends, then we are applying a concrete on the bed. And third stage is cutting up the tendons. Say if you have a extra tendons, it will be removed. Yeah. So this is a picture which shows the execution of the slippers, railway slippers. So this is a biggest bay where we have a cutting spaces. So bars will be provided in this way, Okay, at end space, look here, you will have a anchoring of stands. So all the bars will be erected in this way, extra bars. And the next stage is stretching of stands. So this is the hydraulic support. This is the hydraulic support by which it will get expanded. Look here, this is the normal space and this is the expanded space, expanded gap. This is the initial gap actually. After expanding, after tensioning, this much of space being expanded, tension. So after tensioning, applying factor. Okay, so if you want to produce the concrete in a large and lump sum manner, this stage is pouring of concrete and this is steam curing chamber. So if you want to make it in a quick manner, then steam they introduced into a steam curing chamber. And next is demolding of the slipper from the formworks. So removing of slippers from the formwork. And next is dry storage. First, initially they will immerse in water for 28 days. Then this is a open storage. So this is how pre-stressing work for in a linear way. Pre-stressing steels. As I told you, the pre-stressing steel will play a vital role in this type of concrete structure. So it has a combination of iron, carbon, magnesium, and optional materials. So it's a conventional non-pre-stressed reinforcements which being used for flexural capacity. It's an optional one in terms of flexural capacity and shear capacity, temperature, and shrinkage requirements. So forms, there are different types of pre-stressing steels which being used. Okay, so yeah, this is normal steel. When we have a single numbers, it will be a normal steel. It's a normal wire. Okay, stands are 2 or 3 or 7 wires are wound to form a strands. When we wound on together, then it's called strands. Okay, and tendons. A group of strands are wires are wound to form a pre-stressing tendons. Cable. A group of tendons. Ultimately, each and every one will get interrelated. Bars. So a tendon can be made up of a single steel bar. The diameter of the bar is much more larger than that of the wire. So this is a sketch which shows the normal wire, tendon, and the normal cables and bars. So it will have a combination of more number of bars in this. So each and every type will be used based on the purpose. So for different types of conditions and different spacing of columns, the types of bars will get varied. And this is a sketch which shows a deck slab. So this is a deck slab. So it's a completely a precast segment girder. So most of the cases you may see these type of girders, these type of deck slabs. Okay, so in metro rail projects, in bridges, you will have these type of deck slabs. So it will be hollow. So in any bridge structure, you may have a hollow cavity like this. So this will be an individual panel. Panel will be connected, and you will have a steel frames. Look here, there is a cavity hole in these areas. So all these will be connected by using a steel frames. Okay, so all these will come under a pre-stressed type of concrete. So sources, how we get extended. Okay, first is based on the hydraulic pre-stressing. So by using a hydraulic jacks. So it will be typically as such as the working process for JCB. You may see in a JCB. Okay, so there will be buckets. So oscillation of buckets or movement of buckets, everything will happen based on hydraulic process. The same thing will be applicable for pre-stressed type of techniques. Okay, so there will be a hydraulic setups through which the tendons will get expanded. Okay, so that's the first type. And next is mechanical pre-stressing. You may see or you may come across with a pulley type of concepts. Okay, so where you will have heavy loaded machineries will be lifted by a mechanical pre-stressing. So with or without lever transmission, gear transmission, in conjunction with pulley blocks, then screw jacks, or with or without gear drives. Electrical pre-stressing, this will be a process wherein the steels are electrically heated. So initially it will get heated and anchored before concrete in the mold. So when it gets heated, in the sense ultimately it reaches to the maximum saturation. Okay, so as per you may heard a term called stress strain curve. So you may know how stress is directly proportional, and later on how there will be a alternation with the stress and strain values. Will have external manner. See, look here. These all provided at a external face of the box girder. So when process will happen at a external faces, then it is called a external pre-stressing. Okay, look here. This is a beam. All along the sides of the beam, you will have a bar provisions with pre-tensioned at a initial manner itself. So this is the beam setup. All along the sides of the beam, you will have a tendons. Okay, so this will be get pre-tension at the early stage itself. And internal pre-stressing, this is the one where it will be get pre-stressed at the initial stage itself. During itself, this will get pre-stressed in a starting phase itself. And these are pre-tensioned electrical poles. Maybe you may come across with these type of, this is a solid pole and this is a hollow poles. For aesthetic purposes or for any supports, these type of poles will be used. Okay, so this is a linear type of poles. So that's the one I'm about to say. Linear pre-stressing. Okay, so it's straight or flat in nature in terms of direction. So for example, beams, piles, poles, and slabs, all this will come under linear pre-stressing. So it will be a one way process. So the reaction will happen in a linear way. So that's what it named as linear pre-stressing. And this is for as I told you, this is for railway slippers. And circular pre-stressing. Most of the cases for aesthetic purpose, we used to adopt circular type of pre-stressing. This is curved in nature. Tanks, silos, pipes. All this will come under circular type of pre-stressing. Most of the cases, these pre-stressed type of techniques will be adopted for mega structures. So businesses used to adopt these type of pre-stressing techniques. So initially, for a circular type, all these tendons will be provided in this way. Maybe you can see the tendon supports provisions over here. For circumference at periodical spaces, you will have the supports. So this is how circular type of pre-stressing will happen. And there are there is a certain limitations while we've been executing pre-stressing type of techniques. It needs a skilled type of techniques. I mean, this is a completely skilled type of technology and it requires a skilled labor. And use of high strength material is caustic. Because the tendon which we are, I mean, if you are doing a large scale project, then ultimately this will be economical. Okay, so there is a additional cost in terms of auxiliary equipment. So the equipment used for pre-stressing will be little expensive. So we may hire the material. There is no need for quality control and inspection. This is the most important thing we need to keep in mind. In normal RCC type of structure, we need to cross-check the qualities at each and every spaces. There will be a cube test. Okay, so after executing concreting, we have a cubes will be casted all along the concreting time period, and this will be tested. So the test results will be related to the and advantages. So there will be different types of advantages and it needs less labor, smaller and lighter structure. There won't be no cracks, and use of entire section to resist the loads. And it is highly, that's what I said, it has a maximum life period, better corrosion resistance. Okay, and good for larger projects such as water tanks, nuclear power plants, and etc. Okay, and it is the effective for reflection control. Say if you have a advantages, ultimately we have a disadvantages. Okay, so as I said, no, in terms of if you are doing a project in terms of smaller scale, then ultimately this is not an economical one. Okay, and it requires a pre-stressing bed. If you are doing in situ structure on site, if you are casting a structure and we are reassembling, then ultimately it needs a pre-stressing bed. How? Okay, sir. First one is large panel system, and next is frame, and third is slab column systems with wall. Fourth is mixed stage, which shows a large panel systems. So individually we have a pre-stressed panels, pre-stressed columns, and pre-stressed slabs and everything. So all these large panels will get assembled. We will get a definite form of structure. And next is framed system. In a framed system, we have all structural components, and such as columns, beams, the frame. Okay. And third one is slab column systems with walls. Okay, so this is a single setup with slab, and this is a slab, and this is a column. Okay, so and you will have a wall arrangements over here. So all these are different individual panels. Panels will get assembled in this way. Now these are different types of precast members which been used for a structure. Okay, first is T type of section, and this is double T. This is hollow core. This is pile, and L shape will be applicable for any intersections or any intersections. Oh, okay, so this is next is inverted T sections. It will be used when we have a 3 intersections. And this is last one is eye girder. Most of the cases eye girders will be used for larger structures. Now these eye girders will be replaced by box girders. Most of the cases in metro projects and in airports, you can see these type of square type of square type box columns or square columns will be used. Precast slabs, and we have a different types of precast slabs. First one is solid flat. Hollow core. Hollow core is light in weight, and it is 100% sound insulated one. Okay, and this is double T, and this is single T. So the different types being used based on different cases. And this is the precast beams and girders. Okay, as I told you, it will have a top, it will have a bar arrangements. So this will be get assembled with the connecting medians. Maybe it may be a slab, or it may be a column, or whatever may be. Okay, this will be get connected with the another one more panels. And precast column. Look here, you will have a support structure like this. You will have a support structure like this with beams and columns. Will rest on the beams and slabs will be rest on the top of this one. So at top you can see the bars will be provided at the top faces in order to connect with the slabs. So this will be getting connected with the slabs, and it will be get suitable anchorage at the sides. Look here, the left hand side you can see there is a proper support for slabs. So the slabs will be rest on these frames like this. And this is precast walls. And nowadays, all malls, all partitions, everything being done based on these pre-stressed type of walls. Okay, so there will be a, look here, you can see there is a precast walls. So wherever we need a space requirement, we can pre-plan accordingly and we can cast based on the requirements. And there will be a lapping arrangements or lapping setup like this. So one will get connected with the other. Maybe over bridges, you can see a over bridge. Okay, over bridges like in the mari embankments. You can see a embankments. So all along the sides of the embankments, you may have these type of precast walls. Okay, so walls will get lapped like this. The mari over side lap. Yeah, this is a precast concrete stairs. So everything will be assembled in a different individual way and get connected at each and every setups. Look here, this will get connected with the support provisions. And right side, this is a sports stadium. This been customized based on the requirement actually. So all these are hollow slabs. As I told you, the provision or the usage of hollow slabs will be good because this is very light in nature. And this is a complete the precast structure which been used in a structure. Okay, so it will have a proposed walls. Okay, it will have a facade walls and it will have a precast stairs, and this is a beam, and this is a roof slab, and this is a precast again facade wall will have a opening provisions and everything. Okay. So this is a sketch which shows the different types of components in a building, and all these being a precast type of structure, precast type of members, it get assembled. Even though openings for pipes, everything in terms of services and everything. Yeah, as I told you, this is a clear picture which shows about the solid panels and hollow core slabs. Yeah, I told you, this is a single core frame, and this is a support provisions, and the slab completely rests on the wall support like this. Yeah, this is a column to column collections. Even typically it is as such as the connection or connecting a one bar to next consecutive bars in a columns or in terms of slabs. So we have a setup, or we have arrangements by which we will connect one column to next consecutive columns. Okay, so based on nuts and bolts concept, we can connect with this. Look here. So this is a sketch which shows reinforcements, and this is a base plate. Yeah, beam to column connections. This is a column, and this is a part of the beam. It get connected. This is the finished one, which has a top reinforcements or bars. This pin get connected with the slabs, and this is the extended one, incomplete one. This is slab to beam connections. After connecting the beams, the slab panels will rest on the top. There will be a minimum gap. Look here. So you have a minimum gap. The gap will be completely filled with the grouting or sealant material. Yeah, precast construction. So it has a wide application, as I told you. It's rapid in construction, better in quality, reduced maintenance, and it's suitable for repetitive. It's suitable for repetitive construction mostly. Yeah. So these are some of the case studies I just highlighted for pre-stressed type of concrete. This is a tower at Namur. The height of the tower is 171 meters. This is the world tallest pre-stressed type of structure. So it's 561 meters. The main purpose of the tower is it's being used as a signal tower mainly. It's been used as a signal tower. The tower has a tripod structure up to 96 meters. 31 feet. Okay, so it is a tripod. It has a tripod type of setups. Okay, so the angle of inclination is 30 degrees for each and every one. Okay, so the tripod setups is extended till to 96 meters. The overall height is 171 meters.
125, sir.
So all these frames and panels, everything been constructed by using the pre-stress type of techniques. Look here, this is an individual panel. All these circular frames are individual panels which get assembled. Okay, so they have started the precasting erection. It started at the year of 1995. Look here, this is the tripod setup I told you. So it get connected. All these tripod will get intersected at 76 meter, and this is each and individual panels. Each and every individual panels will get assembled. Yeah, all these three tripods will get intersected by a steel frame, because as I told you, this is the tallest type of structure. So when height matters, then ultimately the wind load will be higher. So in order to overcome the wind loads, there will be a 3 anchoring supports for the tripod. So this is a connecting median between one support to next consecutive supports. Yeah. So the diameter of the concrete core. So one core it is 3.4 meter. I mean 11.2 feet. So it has all inside the core. You will have all the type of services such as stairs, cables, and elevators. Everything being provided in this area. So this is a tallest type of structure. Okay, yeah, this is a aerial view, top view of the tower. The tower was erected at a record speed. I mean, the time of erection is of very minimum. Okay, each of the 3 legs is increased in length at a rate of 12 meter per week. So in a week, they've been erected 12 meter and resulting in total erection of 36 meter per week or 7 meter per working days. And as I told you, at a top connecting face like this, you will have a steel cores. These get connected and these will get accessed in this top of the pre-stressed structure at 160 meter with precast platforms in place. Yeah, and next is maybe like you may heard about Opera House in Sydney, okay, in Australia. This is completely being done based on pre-stressed type of techniques. So it's designed by Danish architect John Utzon, the year of 1973. It has a concept of shell, okay, to be portrayed like a large while sails in a contrast at the deep blue waters on the ocean. And still it been people been arguing that it has to be considered as the 8th wonder of the world. Yeah, so this is the structure during the construction. It been supported with, look here, it been supported with the 588 concrete piers. So at bottom of the space, it will have around 588 concrete piers. Then there is a flat mat structure associated with that. They have precasted the panels and everything. So look here, this all individual panel frames being connected and over which they've been part of the area being glazed and part of the area being tiled. The project was built in 3 phases. Okay, first is with respect to the foundation, as I said, because the complete structure will lies in a sea. Okay, so building up the podium will looks like a Sydney Harbour. Okay, the construction of outer cells and certain structural problems still unresolved in order to hold the weight of the massive structure cells it's supporting. So this is, as I told you, this completely all these frames, panels, everything been prefabricated. So it consists of ribbed system of precast concrete shells, and there are around 10,56,000 ceramic tiles being made in Sweden from clay and crushed stones, and these been patched all along the top of the core shells. Along the placement of the tiles, it took 11 years to complete the iconic structure. And this is the staircase. All these top frames will be completely a timber material actually. So timber is predominantly available, and based on this, they have used a timber for aesthetic purposes. So hopefully you all know that, like, it's a opera house, and associated with that, it has 3 small theaters, libraries, and it has around 3 restaurants, 6 bars, and 60 dressing rooms. And it has a 1,000 room capacities. So all these frames, everything being done based on a pre-stressed type of structures and pre-stressed type of panels. And next one is this is a Walk Regal Apartments. This is in Germany. This is a residential project actually. So it has it's a 6-story building. Okay, so area is 1040 meters square. So all these all these floors are typical in nature. So when we have a typical floors, then it will be easy to execute the structure. And these been completely done based on pre-stressed concrete. Look here, this is a column support where at each and every faces we have a anchoring supports. Look here. So we have a support over here and over which the slab being rest on these at both the columns. And this is a staircase which has a separate frame. Staircase is assembled in a separate frame, and these being getting assembled in these. So this is one among them. Okay, so during designing itself, once design get over, ultimately they will hand over the complete design to the fabricators. So during the excavation or during the foundation stage itself, the precast panel members start to they used to fabricate the pre-stressed panels. And this is a interior view of a residential building. So you will have all these walls, slabs, beams, everything is pre-paneled. Look here, you can see over here the connecting panels. Yeah, and next is the most interesting one is the Jubilee Church in Rome. Actually, it's been designed by architect Richard Mayer and partners. So initially, the church being framed or the church being designed based on steel frame concepts. So due to timely management and due to the budget constraint, they have changed the pattern. Okay, so all these associated with the steel frame, they have connected 3 precast panels. So all these are precast panels associated with the frames, steel frames, and it has 3 facings. 3 curves are made up of precast concrete slabs, as I told you, and they are freestanding, and wind load is compensated by a cantilever effect through this. So, and wind load will be compensated based on this. So they've clearly studied about the orientation of the beam and intensity of the beam. So based on that, they have framed a 3 curved supports, pre-stressed panel support, and even light effect will be framed based on these. So this will get reflected, and you will have a clear inner effect. The walls have inner and outer shells, so it will be highly insulated one. Height of the walls are 57 to 90 feet in height. Around 346 precast panel blocks being used for these 3 walls. So geometry is said to allow for repeatable formworks. So this is a east section, and this is a view which shows the how in terms of light effects and in terms of wind intensity being carried out in a proper way. The glazed skylight suspended between the cells are lit by zenithal side light, and nave is enlightened by a constantly changing patterns of lights and shades. So this being completely framed, panels, everything being carried out with the proper and detailed studies. Okay, so this will overcome all the weather effects, seasonal changes, and everything. The next is Sunshine Sky Bridge. So all these panels and frames, everything. This is as such as typically as such as our Pamban Bridge. Okay, so and this is the characteristics of this is the details of the bridge. It has 4 lanes and length in terms of length span is 366 meter. Height is 131 meter. Total length, look here, the total length is 6.7 kilometers. Yeah, so this is the detailed drawing which shows how support being carried out in a structure. At the end faces, we have a supports and these being connected by a proper tendon supports in these at each and every frames, and this all completely a pre-test panels. I'll show you a live picture of this. Yeah, this is how suspension bridges or cable bridges will works. The tendons will carry the tension and the center core will take up the compression. So compression will get neutralized with the tension in these way. Yeah, this is a step. This is a picture which I told you. All these frames will have a tendon support. This will get connected, and in this space, it's an incomplete one actually. So this is a picture which shows how pre-stressed panels will get connected. Okay, so this is the maximum suspension cable. The overall length, it's completely a pre-stressed panel actually. Yeah. So this is a picture shows how ships and ships will cross the bridges, and over which you can see there will be a movement of vehicles. Next is a commercial building, BMW headquarters. So it started in the year of 1968, completed in the year of 1972. The use of, in this case, the center core will be steel frames. Center core will be steel frame, and associated with that will have a loading supports. So it has a concept of, as they told you, it has a concept of the suspension is not sorry. The suspended structure is not only innovative, but also opens numerous inspirational concept. Okay, that ultimately portrays the various means of load bearing. Look here, the design of the building was architecturally conceived to resemble 4-cylinder of the engine car. So you will have cylinder 1, cylinder 2, cylinder 3, and cylinder 4. At the next side, you will have a 4-cylinder concept. Yeah. So this is a cylinder 1, cylinder 2, cylinder 3, and cylinder 4. So this is the base mat work. How base mat works. So they have completely created a base mat. Associated with that, they have raised the structure. All these complete floors are typical in nature. Yeah, as I told you, steel hanger beams were then erected on the top of the shear core, and steel cables are permanently suspended structure of the grounds. So this complete structure is completely being done based on a pre-stressed type of techniques. Thank you, and I'd like to show a video for pre-stressing, as I told you. So placing of formworks at the initial stage. Yeah, formwork beam get completed, and beam bars being provided at the sides. Yes, all along the sides of the beams, anchoring supports are provided at the end faces. So anchoring assembly will get completed and it being provided at the sides of the each beams. As I told you, this is HT stands. At periodical spaces, we are going to provide, and it has a envelope which been greased. So all the blue color are the frame which we are going to have a tension. Normal slab reinforcement has to be completed. If needed, extra bars will be provided at the ends. Yeah, this is actually a video related to the post tensioning. Okay, so they haven't done a extensions. Okay, they haven't done a prefabrication. They have completed with the concreting. Then they will go for a expansion of a steel. Yes, after 28 days. This is a post-tension concept, but wherein our concept, we are going to do it at the initial stage itself. So we are going to remove all the wedges. Then we are going to make a mark. So by paint, we are going to make a mark in order to cross-check how much extension or how much length extended. We are going to cross-check. So placing of wedges. So wedges will hold the bars in a proper way or a proper anchorage. Then hydraulic supports will be provided. Yeah, at each and every bars, and hydraulic pressure is applied. Action of wedges. So now look here. So it get expanded because of the friction action. Yeah, this is the one which I told you. So you will have an internal cracks. You will have an internal cracks. All these cracks will be completely get sealed by the pre-stressing techniques or pre-stressing concept. You can see a difference in paint marking. So this is how the pre-tensioning process will be carried out. Yeah, all these gaps will be filled by the sealant. This is a post-tension process actually. So as I told you, it's a pre-tension actually. So we have discussed about pre-tension concrete. If there is any specific area we need to be customized, we can do the one for staircase and everything. Again, provision of wedges at the supports. Again, we are going to do the same process. Extra rods being cutted. Gaps will be filled by the sealant. And staircase provisions. Yes, advantages of pre-stressed type of techniques. So you can see slab to slab coverage spaces is very higher. So in terms of normal concrete, you don't, the provision of services is very complicated. But wherein here, it will be very easier. You don't have any column supports, any beam supports at all. Yeah, this is the basic difference between the conventional process with respect to the pre-stressed type of techniques. In pre-stressed type of techniques, we don't have any beam supports. It will be typically as such as the flat slab concepts. Okay, so at left hand side you can see there will be a beams. So at all along the sides of the beam, if there is any provisions, ultimately you have to bend the service pipelines and AC ducts, and you have to carry out the process. But wherein here, it will be very comfortable one. You don't have any disturbances. So you can get a more floor to floor space. Yeah, and in terms of normal RCC to pre-stress type of techniques, you can compare with the left hand side sketch to the right hand side. Left hand side sketch, you can see the thickness of columns and you can see the thickness of the slab and compared to the right hand side. So you can go for additional floors by using pre-stress type of techniques, wherein in terms of normal type, it will, because of the thickness of the concrete, ultimately it will go for 10 floors. But right hand side you can see it will go for even 11 floors. It's mainly because of economical provisions actually. So things being designed in such a way by which the size of the column and size of the slabs, everything will get minimized based on the pre-stress type of techniques. Yes. So this is the video about the pre-stress type of technique, as I told you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I would like to
question answers.
Yeah.
Question answer session. Everybody's start with question answer from guest lecture.
If you have queries related to any structural design, you can ask.
Yes, please.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, is it possible with a circular structure for pre-stressing concrete? Circular beams?
Circular?
Beams.
Yeah, precast panels can be done, actually. But as I told you, this is completely feasible for a larger structure. If you are doing for a mega structure, you can do with the one. Definitely it is possible. So I've shown a picture related to the one. Okay. So all water tanks and storage tanks, everything been designed based on pre-stressed panels, pre-stressed concept.
Okay, sir.
Any other? Okay. Thank you, Antarshan, sir.
Yes,
that was a wonderful
thank you.
Presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks to the management. Actually, special thank to you, and thanks to HOD, principal, dean of the college, for inviting me. Thank you all. Thank you.
Anybody's out of thanks, please.
Yes, sir. On behalf of Mohammed Saddam, AJ Academy of Architecture, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. My heart fills with a lot of gratitude and respect for the distinguished guest speaker, Professor S. Anbarasan sir, for not only sparing his time but also enlightening and encouraging, clearing the doubts and enhancing and understanding the pertaining pre-stressed concrete structures. Thank you, sir. And I would like to express my profound gratitude to Dean Professor Mohammed Harris, Principal Professor Mohammed Hedris, HOD Sir, Professor T. Satish Kumar, and also for our staff, Professor Prakash Sir, for moral support and guidance. Thank you, sir. And also my fellow mates whose presence very important. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you all.